The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman.
Hi everyone, welcome to Katie Mack Comments, a channel where I, Katie Mack, comment. But in all seriousness, here on my channel we discuss social justice issues, pop culture, and feminism, all from the lens of my women's studies and psychology degrees. So if any of that interests you, be sure to click the subscribe button down below. Today we're going to be talking about the way that black women are treated by us as a society and how they deserve so much more than what we give them. We'll also be discussing the Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez situation and how the public is mistreating Meg at every possible turn. I also want to say before we start that while I can talk about these issues from an academic standpoint, I will never truly know what experiencing misogynoir is like, and I would suggest that you also head over to some featured channels on my page and in this video to learn more from some wonderful black women creators. Content warning. Discussions of violence, racism, sexism, and misogynoir. As Malcolm X said in his 1962 speech, the most disrespected, unprotected, and neglected person in America is the black woman. And even in 2020, this still holds true. Black women are consistently mistreated and taken advantage of by American society, and even in the midst of the Black Lives Matter movement growing faster than ever before, black women are still seen as only existing for our entertainment. Black women experience specific forms of discrimination that groups of other people can't relate to due to the intersections of their identities. Professor Kimberly Crenshaw coined the term intersectionality in 1989 to describe how race, class, gender, and other individual characteristics intersect with one another and overlap. In a Vox article on Crenshaw and her work on intersectionality, they wrote, Crenshaw argues in her paper that by treating black women as purely woman or purely black, the courts, as they did in 1976, have repeatedly ignored specific challenges that face black women as a group. Although Crenshaw created the term intersectionality for debates in the legal realm, this term has since been co-opted by activists to explain the ways in which each person experiences different discriminations based on the intersections of their identities. A newer term, misogynoir, coined by scholar and activist Moya Bailey in 2008, describes the specific hatred, dislike, distrust, and prejudice directed toward black women. And while misogynoir is widespread in America and beyond, white liberals still have a hard time believing the fact that we too are a part of the problem. White feminism, or feminism that many privileged white women fight for that doesn't encompass many other women's hardships, is a huge contributor to misogynoir. This feminism ignores the struggles of people who experience more discrimination than just sexism, which is why I feel that it can't even be considered feminism because it's not intersectional. In my last video, I discussed how transphobia isn't welcome in feminism, because oppressing others has no place in feminism, and that is just as true for racism in feminism. You can't fight for freedom from oppression if you're only going to do so for certain people in your group. If you are a feminist, you fight for all women, regardless of their other intersecting identities. However, there's still a huge collection of white feminists that ignore struggles of women of color, especially those of black women. So let's talk about the Megan Thee Stallion situation. For those of you who aren't aware, probably because of the lack of media attention on the situation, Megan Thee Stallion was shot by Tory Lanez in July. The first reporting of the incident claimed that Meg was arrested, so to clear her name, she publicly posted her story on Instagram explaining that she was not arrested and was actually the victim of a shooting. So not only was Meg shot, but she was also immediately met with claims that she was arrested, instead of media outlets doing their due diligence to correctly cover the story. After Meg cleared her name, she began to post videos and photos of her having fun and dancing, prompting online trolls to accuse her of lying about the shooting. After y'all refused to show Meg any kind of sympathy or well wishes for this traumatic event, You dare to accuse her of lying when she shows signs of moving on? Black women are forced to be resilient because they've been taught by society that they won't get sympathy and that no one cares what happens to them. But when Black women do show signs of moving on, they're immediately met with questions about how they could possibly move on, even though everyone else already has. And the thing is, literally, what would she ever gain from lying about being shot? It's not like she gained any fans from the incident, and originally she didn't even come out with who shot her. She was just coming out with her own truth. Megan Thee Stallion has absolutely nothing to gain from lying about something like that, and yet people still had the audacity to claim that she made the whole thing up. In a YouTube video by the creator As Told by Kenya that you should definitely check out, Kenya talks about how the accusations directed at Megan show proof of an inability to sympathize with Black women. She discussed how people need to convince themselves that Meg was lying, to prove to themselves that they're not bad people for not showing any sympathy to Meg. They would rather claim that the incident never even happened than actually show any sympathy for a Black woman who was wrongly attacked. Kenya explains that
when it comes to bringing down a Black woman, when it comes to having no sympathy for Black women, when it comes to just being cruel to Black women, it needs no explanation. It needs no explanation. It needs no common sense. It needs none of it. It needs none of it. You can just do it. You can just say whatever you want about a Black woman and someone's going to believe it.
Can we also talk about how when Megan Thee Stallion was featured in WAP, everybody had something to say, but then when she got shot, the whole world was silent? Like, where did that outrage go? A lot of people were claiming that their outrage over WAP was because of the way that Black women were portrayed, because they wanted to protect the image of Black women. But then when it comes to actually physically protecting those exact same women, all I hear are crickets. I also want to talk about all of this in relation to the Ellen Degeneres scandal that's been going on the past few months. Remember how many celebrities immediately came to Ellen's defense when she was accused of doing something horrible? But when Megan Thee Stallion has something horrible done to her, not a single celebrity comes to her defense or protection. No one even batted a motherfucking eye, because people seemingly just aren't fazed by violence against Black women. But when a white woman gets accused of racism and rude behavior, everyone immediately jumps to her defense? The Misogynoir is deafening. Like, she was literally shot. Why isn't anyone besides other Black women talking about this or coming to her defense? This past week, Megan Thee Stallion performed on Saturday Night Live, and it was extremely powerful. Meg showed us that she will continue to stand up for herself and other Black women, even when the world tries to push them down. The full performance will be linked below, but let's just watch a clip of it.
We need to protect our Black women and love our Black women, because at the end of the day, we need our Black women.
Megan Thee Stallion will never cease to amaze me. Her resilience and strength throughout all she's been through this year alone is inspiring. She has been so wildly mistreated by society, but she continues to hold her head up high even when everyone else is trying to tear her down. Just think about how different this entire situation would be if it was a white woman in the music industry who got shot. Imagine the outrage that would have come from that situation, and the amount of sympathy that woman would have garnered. The music industry as a whole would probably have publicly backed her and shamed the shooter. But since Meg Thee Stallion is Black, this is how she's treated? Black women are not protected in the same way that white women are. Tory Lanez has barely suffered any consequences from his actions, not only in the legal sense, but also socially. No one publicly stood up for Meg besides Meg. No one confronted Tory for shooting her, and no one in the music industry even seemed to notice that Meg was a victim of violence. People didn't feel the need to denounce the violence because it was against a Black woman. And if the victim of this situation had been white, media outlets and fans would have been outraged, and everyone would have heard about the shooting. At the very least, media outlets would have put in the effort to report accurate information about the assault. But Meg doesn't even get the privilege of accurate reporting on her assault, because media outlets didn't even bother to put in the work to give her story any semblance of justice. And this is what happened to Megan Thee Stallion, one of the most successful Black women of 2020. Imagine what the average Black woman who doesn't have money, power, and millions of fans goes through on a daily basis. If this can happen to Meg, imagine what happens every day to other innocent Black women just trying to live their lives. How can Black women ever expect anyone to have their backs when the Queen of 2020 herself can't even be treated with respect? After Meg came out with a graphic image of her bloody foot to prove that she legitimately was shot, she was met with joke after joke about the incident. People saw an opportunity to trivialize a Black woman's pain and they jumped on it. This same lack of empathy was expressed towards the late Brianna Taylor, whose name has been disgracefully turned into a meme. And it should not go unnoticed that the only victim of police brutality who was turned into a meme was the most well-known woman. Even in death, Black women will not be granted peace, because they are continually disrespected and mocked by the masses. These memes made a mockery of Brianna's murder and turned a real person's life into a despicable joke. The jokes about Black women's trauma and misfortune must stop. These women don't deserve to be treated as an object of entertainment. They are real human beings who suffered, and they deserve respect in life and death. And let's not forget that Brianna's family is mourning her death and dealing with the injustices that led to her being killed and her murderers walking free, all while people online decided to make a mockery out of her. There are still real people who have been so personally and intimately affected by Brianna's death. And as if her wrongful murder wasn't terrible enough, y'all thought it would be acceptable to laugh about it. In another video by As Told by Kenya, she says,
y'all saw that this Black girl who departed from this earth was getting attention and you said no. Black women don't deserve attention in life and death and anything else. They don't deserve that attention. So let me bring it on to me.
Black women deserve so much better than the shit they continue to be put through. They are human beings that deserve some goddamn respect. By using Brianna Taylor's name to get likes and shares, you are using her death to gain popularity and possibly even money. Many people who made memes about Brianna also promoted their businesses, music, or other platforms in the mentions underneath. These people are literally using Brianna Taylor's death to make money. They're commodifying Black women's pain and suffering for their own gain. Tory Lanez also pulled this same maneuver when he refused to speak publicly on shooting Megan Thee Stallion until he released his album, so he could, once again, commodify a Black woman's pain. He shot her, and his response to her is an album? Like, are you f***ing kidding me? And the worst part of it all is that people are allowing him to get away with it. If no one listened to his album, he would learn that commodifying Black women's pain, especially pain that he inflicted, is not okay. But since y'all decided to listen to it and call the songs bops, you've just taught him that this is fine and he hasn't done anything wrong. Can I remind you that he shot Megan Thee Stallion? And I know that he claims that he didn't in his new album that I won't be listening to. But even if he didn't shoot her, he still saw her trauma as an opportunity to make money. He's just taking advantage of the fact that violence against Black women sells, and it's disgusting. When will Black women's lives stop being a game to y'all? I swear, y'all see Black women as a commodity, as people who only exist for your entertainment, as a stepping stone for your own success. Not as multifaceted human beings with their own thoughts and feelings. The way that y'all turned Brianna Taylor into this abstract idea for justice and not an actual human being is despicable. If you're gonna say her name, you have to genuinely want justice for Brianna, not the abstract idea of a person that y'all created through these fucking memes. Even hashtag say her name was co-opted by the Black Lives Matter movement as a whole. When it was originally created specifically for Black, trans, and cis women who experience police brutality, because they are so often overlooked. They literally created the Say Her Name campaign in response to the Black Lives Matter movement making Black women feel like an afterthought. Of course, the Say Her Name movement was created to coincide with BLM, not to override BLM, because, as writer and activist Dream Hampton says, They wanted to offer a more complete, not competing, narrative about policing and race. But the fact that most people don't even know that that is where the Say Their Names movement started is just sad. Black women give so much to this movement and to our world, and yet they're always overlooked and underappreciated. They shouldn't have to convince you that they deserve humanity. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings, regardless of our race, sex, gender, socioeconomic status, religion, ability, and so on. The way in which our society continues to not only disregard, but laugh at Black women's pain is revolting. And we need to be more aware of the biases that create an environment where misogynoir can thrive. As author, professor, and activist Bell Hooks wrote in her book entitled Art on My Mind, within sexist racist iconography, Black females are most often represented as mammies, whores, or sluts, caretakers whose bodies and beings are empty vessels to be filled with the needs of others. This imagery tells the world that the Black female is born to serve, a servant, made to order. She is not herself, but always what someone else wants her to be. We must stop treating Black women as if they're here to serve us, because they're human beings with their own needs, wants, and desires, and they don't owe us anything. Black women deserve so much better. That's it for this video, but before I go, I want to remind you to check out the links in the description box below for places to donate, sign petitions, and learn about the Black Lives Matter movement, and how to support Black women specifically. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you've made it this far, comment Black Women Matter down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!